It's the new Rebel, the Rebel XSI from Canon. First off, what's different about this camera? Well, they named it after me. It's always been named after me since the film Rebel. I was the film Rebel, but now I'm the digital Rebel. That was going to be my name online. Canon took it from me. That's all right, they can have it because this is a really cool camera. Now, what's different about this one and the old Rebels? Well, this one's 12 megapixels. That makes it higher resolution than the 40D, which is a more professional camera. It's like a prosumer camera. This one is pretty much, I guess you would call this a beginner SLR. It's really something you can learn photography on this. You can take some amazing pictures on this. If you're someone who has, a son or a daughter who's doing sports and you want to be able to get some great shots, this is going to do a lot better than your point and shoot camera. And this is also really good for a lot of social applications. And I've even seen these down here in Miami. I've seen a lot of photographers taking headshots, doing modeling shots with the Canon Rebel cameras. So the nice thing about the Canon Rebel cameras is the fact that they use the Canon lenses. That means you get to use the EF and the EFS lenses. And those pop right into the front here. I'll take this off so let you see the mountain real quick. Right there. So you can use both the EF, which will be the red dot there lines up, and then the EFS, which will line it up with the white dot. Now with this camera, we have the 18-55 lens. It comes in a kit. This is the EFS lens. And it gives us a nice wide angle because this does have the smaller size sensor. There is a crop factor of 1.6, so multiply 18-55 by 1.6, and that'll give you the actual range of what you're going to be shooting. So it's nice to have a wide angle, and it's also nice that this lens is an image stabilization lens, letting you shoot in darker environments without getting image blur or anything like that. Another new thing about this camera, well, we've got a larger LCD screen. This is the 3-inch LCD screen. It's got the same number of pixels as the last Rebel, but it's larger, and a lot of the options in this camera are menu-based. As you can see here, we have a lot of the different things that are buttons on the other cameras. Like I use the Canon 5D and the Canon 40D a lot. And we can access a lot of the features through different buttons and dials on that one. Well, this one's menu-based. I thought it was going to be a little more frustrating or a little more difficult to work with at first with this 12 megapixel Rebel, but I found it to be extremely easy to work with actually. And a lot of people online have been complaining that it's too menu-based, but I mean, how easy is this? If I wanted to do a burst mode, that's it. I just changed my shooting mode. Now I'm in burst mode. That was quick and easy. If I want to do a timer, that's right there as well. And there's also one more new thing about this Canon Rebel. Take a look at this. Live view. That's right. We are actually looking through the camera right now, and we can take a picture using live view. There it is. Now with live view, you can do a lot of cool things because, well, basically makes it more like a pocket camera. You just carry it around. If you need to get a shot that's up here, maybe you can't see through the viewfinder, but you can hold it up like this and still get the shot. So there's a lot you can do with live view. I usually use the eyepiece more often because the battery life and that sort of thing, but live view is a nice feature. Go back into the menu here. Some more of the options on the back here. We have one more new feature here, spot metering. That's the way it absorbs light and the way it actually does all the automatic features. This one will allow you to do spot metering. That's a new feature in this Rebel, and that actually puts it up in the same league as the 40D there. So that's nice as well. I'm gonna keep it on spot metering. I like spot metering. We also have several different picture styles here. You can do portrait, you can do landscape mode, and those are all in the menu here that you normally access up on the wheel. Speaking of the wheel, well, we got a lot of modes up here as well. Now, if you've ever used a Canon or pretty much any camera, you're going to be familiar with this instantly. We have the automatic mode there, and then we have all the different shooting modes like portrait mode, landscape mode, sports mode, nighttime mode, that sort of thing there. We have that all on the wheel. We have the program mode, or the P mode there. That's sort of like automatic, that gives you more access to features. Then we have time value and aperture value. Now, this allows you to set the shutter, and it compensates with the aperture. I do a lot of my shots with aperture value, and the aperture on this lens is 3.5 to 5.6. It's 3.5 when you're pulled all the way back to 18, and 5.6 when you're all the way at 55 millimeters. But this is nice because it allows you to control the aperture, then it'll set the shutter accordingly. And there's manual mode. If you want to set the shutter yourself, it'll go as slow as 30 seconds or bulb, and you can go as fast as 1/4000th of a second. So this is a very fast camera. Puts it right up there with most of the professional cameras on the market there. Right here's your ISO button. Up here, this will help you, it's a dial, help you control your aperture and your shutter. And there's the shutter release button. Also is the autofocus button if you're using autofocus. Now, one thing that's nice about the ISO, if you're in a dark situation, it's right there by the shutter release. Just press the ISO button, and you can go all the way up as high as ISO 1600. Around 800, it starts to get kind of noisy. 1600 is pretty noisy, but there is some good noise reduction built in. It does affect the speed at which you can take multiple shots if you're doing a burst mode. Now, speaking of burst mode, how fast is this camera? Let's go back over to burst mode here. I'll show you how fast it is. It'll take 3.5 frames per second in JPEG. In JPEG, you're going to be able to get 53 JPEGs. If you're doing raw image files, you're only going to be able to get 6 because they're so much larger. But a lot of people, you know, if you're taking JPEGs, you got kids playing sports or whatever, just fill up that memory card. Check that out. That's awesome. Now, another thing that's cool about live view, let me jump back. I know I'm jumping back and forth a little bit here, but another thing that's cool about live view, if you want to hook this up to your computer through USB, you can actually use the computer to capture images with the live view. You'll be able to see through the lens there and just capture with the computer. You can see a lot of people using that for a lot of different things. All right, here's our exposure compensation. I've got it on -2 right now. I guess I was doing some film noir style stuff, a little darker. But you have the access to that there. Up here we can go to the menu. Here's the display button if you want to turn that off, save a little more battery life. Or maybe you've got everything, you've got all the settings you need, you don't need to use that. And then, how about flash? Well, right here's the button to pop up the flash. If you're in auto mode, it'll automatically come up. And the flash you can see there is far away from the lens to make sure that there's no red eye. That's a nice feature. I put the flash back down. And pretty much covered everything. One new thing about this as well, turn it around to this side here. The battery is new and the memory is a little different than most Canons. It uses an SD card, not a compact flash. So make note of that. You'll be using SD. And also the battery on this, it's not the standard Canon battery we've seen before. It's a new battery. Open this up right here. It's actually a smaller lithium-ion battery. There we go. Here's the battery. It comes with the charger in the box. This is a nice small-sized camera, so it's quite a bit smaller than the 40D and a lot smaller than the 5D. But as far as the overall quality goes, if you're shooting in a bright, sunny day, you can use, like I said, the same lenses with both cameras. And the fact that this has a 12-megapixel sensor, you're going to get some amazing shots. And in theory, if you have good lighting, you should be able to get a shot that's as clean, if not cleaner, than some of the shots that come out of the 40D. So that's a nice thing, especially in a camera in this price range. And with the lens provided, you do have a nice wide angle. One more thing I want to talk about before we close up here. There's one new mode in this camera that's kind of cool over the last few cameras. There's something called the highlight tone priority. And what that does is it actually, sometimes you're taking a picture of something that's backlit, so you know some of the areas of the shot are too bright. If you're shooting into a sun, I know you've seen this before, the sun is really bright, but then the rest of the things are dark because the camera is detecting the light of the sun and setting the settings for that. Well, in highlight tone priority, it knows that this is going on, and it helps to add detail to the shaded areas. It does raise the grain a little bit, you know, it kind of makes it like a higher ISO look, but you do get detail on the shaded areas and the bright areas. So that's something that's new with this camera, and that actually adds to the versatility overall of the camera. Now, as you've seen here from the shots that we took with this camera, it does a great job, and I do have some of the other Canon lenses as well. So couple this with the already large family of Canon lenses, and you've got yourself a great camera, an amazing starter camera, and a lot of the professionals are grabbing up these things because they're excellent size. They can use their lenses on them already, and they're a great second camera, or also a great backup camera. I have a 5D, and it was in the shop for a while, and I would have loved to have one of these as a backup camera just while that one was in the shop. That would have been great, and I'd still be able to get 12 megapixels, so it's great resolution. If you guys have any questions, click on Q&A. It's at the top of the page. I'll see you next time. For more information on the Canon Digital Rebel XSI, go to Tiger Direct and type C930-1418 into the search box, or call us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. 1-800-800-8300.